What's going on, everyone? My name is Scorpion, coach of the Leaf Agents, and welcome to our post BHDL Season 1 podcast little video. Joining me today is Raymon, first ever Pokémon Scholar and coach of the Mamoswine Doubters. Raymon, welcome. Do you want to say hi to the people?
Hi, hope everyone was doing okay.
Welcome, Raymond. Thank you very much for joining me today. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to have a nice little podcast video for you guys, or a little podcast style. We're going to be asking Raymond about some questions about his run through the season, and it should be a good time. So let's get right into it. Now, there's one burning question that is on my mind, Raymond, if you mind answering me, and that is regarding your first draft pick. Your first draft pick in the BHDL Season 1 was Chien-Pao, and obviously you were coach number 6, I believe it was, so you had quite a lot of freedom to choose whoever you wanted. So could you tell us a little bit more, why Chien-Pao?
So originally I wanted to draft Palafin because at that time Palafin was my favorite Pokemon of Gen 9.
Mm-hmm.
But before I had the chance to,
Shaggy drafted it, yeah.
And I was talking to Bira and we were deciding. So he wanted to draft Chien-Pao, but he changed his mind to Urshifu.
Yeah, he got Urshifu Rapid Strike.
Yeah, and he advised me to pick Chien-Pao because at that moment it was the strongest threat left.
Mm-hmm.
And I rather pick an offensive threat than a defensive one because, like I originally thought, everyone was so scared of Chien-Pao that everyone started preparing for it. And Ice and Dark is such a great stat combination.
Oh yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Chien-Pao is a Pokemon with barely any weaknesses, so it was a great choice.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And like, so it was originally it wasn't even your idea, it was more Biradu's idea, sort of. Like, you two were sort of conclaving about which Pokemon to go first. He went for Urshifu Rapid Strike and you went for Chien-Pao.
Yeah.
So did you have like sorry, go on.
It's okay. I also had the choice of Urshifu, so if Birado end up choosing Chien-Pao, I think I would have chosen Urshifu as well.
Oh, so you two would have like traded, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, have you got like a lot of experience building, like team building with Chien-Pao? Maybe you've used it a lot in OU when it was legal, or even in Ubers. Like, or did you actually go into this league kind of like using Chien-Pao for the first time?
No, because when it got banned to Ubers, I barely played any Ubers. I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was Chien-Pao the first legendary, like the four that got banned?
No, Chien-Pao or Chi-Yu got banned first, and then Chien-Pao was one of the later ones to get banned before Home came out. And then when Home came out, it was retested, unlike Chi-Yu. And then after that, obviously, Regieleki went first, and then I think shortly after Chien-Pao.
It was retested. Yeah. I think it was like barely available in overused again.
Yeah, correct. So it was very short-lived.
Because I remember using Chi-Yu more before it got banned.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really got to use Chien-Pao, not because I couldn't, but I was like one of those people who didn't want to destroy everyone with the strongest Pokemon in overused.
Yeah,
so I
of course.
was against using it for fun purposes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if you're anything like me, obviously we probably both love offense a lot, and but even we draw the line somewhere. Chien-Pao was just very broken.
Think about overused. Why I dislike OU the most.
Oh, okay.
How popular Great Tusk is, ground fighting.
You're talking to the person who drafted Great Tusk first, my friend.
Yep, and in overused, I tend to bring a lot of stuff weak to fighting and ground,
mm-hmm.
and then get destroyed by a Great Tusk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't like overused.
That's fair. That's very fair. I mean, it is, of course, the lower tiers are always changing, right? And whereas overuse is kind of like, it's the metagame that gets kind of centralized. It's really the centralizing metagame that sort of, it stays the same for the most part outside of a few Ubers bans and stuff. So
yeah, especially for a person who likes using, like, so I told you that Palafin used to be my favorite Paldea Pokemon. Now it's Buxcalibur.
Okay.
So I use it on every overuse team, and I also like using King Gambit.
Of course, yeah.
And a lot of stuff like Golden Go, right? And I can just pick 3-4 Pokemon weak to ground, and then go to overuse match see great task on the opponent's team, and remember that it exists and get swept.
Yeah, pretty much just accept you're about to lose. Yeah, that's fair. So if you really like the back Excalibur, then why choose Chien-Pao over it? That's kind of my question.
Because it became my favorite like a month ago or so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So at the time, Chien-Pao was still like, more fitting for the job, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. That was very intriguing. So I have your draft team on the screen right now. So obviously Chien-Pao was your first pick. Could you tell us a little bit more about what was the thought process after drafting the rest? Obviously you have Clodsire, Talonflame, Sandy Shocks, and so on. What was kind of like the thought process in the order of drafting it?
So I haven't done draft leagues in a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I can say from the start that I have done few mistakes in this one. So the main mistake that I went with, I think after Chien-Pao I drafted Soul King,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it would be better for my team balance-wise, like type-wise, since Chien-Pao is weak to fire and fighting.
Of course, yeah. Good pick.
Soul King exists. But I haven't really had the chance to use Soul King that much, and as my team would prove otherwise, after that, I have drafted Dondozo as a replacement.
Of course, yeah, another bulky water.
Right, and I should have just drafted Dondozo originally over Soul King.
Because Dondozo went undrafted for a very long time. Like it was your third to final pick, and it stayed on the draft board for a long time.
I'm so surprised that Dondozo went undrafted because it proved to be the staple of my team, and I would think that in draft, especially, unaware Pokemon are so useful.
Absolutely, yeah. You had another one as well. You had Clodsire too. Were they like? Would you say they made your team like very tough to break through? Like very tough to?
Yeah, that helped a lot because even if my Clodsire would run Water Absorb, right? Just the possibility of it hanging unaware would make a lot of people against using Calm Mind on Estipot on their special attack.
Of course, yeah. It's a really nice safety check, or so like a defensive backbone against setup sweepers, which there are plenty of.
So my thought was Soul King because of the chilly reception. I wanted to back up my Chien-Pao with a few defensive Pokemon.
Of course, yeah, makes perfect sense.
After Soul King, I chose Clodsire, and Talonflame was more of a. I wanted something as a hazard removal.
Of course, yeah. Everyone's fighting over their Defoggers and Rapid Spitters and stuff. That's kind of why I went for Great Tusk first myself.
Yeah, that's the best choice in hazard clearance.
Absolutely, yeah.
But later on, I didn't find Talonflame that useful because Talonflame is more like a jack of all trades. It can be a defensive Pokemon, right?
Yeah, and definitely in this gen.
Threat, but it doesn't really excel in much. Like his offensive and defensive stats are all kind of average.
Yeah. I can imagine you've had the same problem with it that I talked about with Moltres in my recap, where Fire and Flying is just a tough typing to make work. And at least in terms of Moltres, Moltres still has a decently useful special attack, but Talonflame has a lower attack than a Moongus, for those who didn't know. So like, I could imagine, yeah. I'm kind of curious. Did you ever think about using offensive Talonflame in any matchups?
So the first times I used it were defensive sets, but once I started realizing that, so every time I was team building, I ran 3 defensive Pokemon already, like Dondozo and Clodsire.
Of course, yeah.
But I started to use more of Toadscroll or defensive Tinkaton. And I was like, it wouldn't make sense running 4 defensive Pokemon on the team.
Of course, yeah.
So the Talonflame I started using sadly didn't work because Sandy Shocks in the games where I used Galwing's Talonflame on my team, Sandy Shocks proceeded to destroy my opponents, and I didn't get the chance to use Talonflame with Galwings.
Okay.
But later I started using offensive Talonflame more.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, again, it might still face similar problems to Moltres, but it definitely still has like unique talents. Every single member on draft has its place, and there will always be monsters you're going to use less than more, for sure.
Yeah, but I think only Slow King and Bramblegast were the Pokemon I regretted choosing. So Bramblegast I had a lot of experience using in Underused.
Of course, yeah, excellent rapid spinner.
Yeah, it's great, but in draft, its typing is very vulnerable.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. That's kind of why I was very, very grateful to obviously to have Great Tusk myself, so I just wouldn't have to worry about it. But indeed, if you have to like resort to things like Brambleghast, that's another whole team slot, you know, that you put on your team. And obviously outside of rapid spinning, Brambleghast just doesn't do all that much, all things considered.
Yeah.
Obviously we had Beardo as well, who had another grass ghost type in Decidueye, who he traded away. And yeah, you did the same thing, right?
Yeah. So the only other mistake I did in draft was lack of special attackers, because I did draft Sandy, and of course it did its job exceptionally well.
Of course, #1 in the kill stats. What you can't argue about that.
Regardless, Sandy is the Pokemon I used the most, probably. In Underused, I used it on every team when it was in Underused.
Of course, yeah,
I always
awesome.
liked terrestrializing it because of the spinning head.
Yeah, that looks amazing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
There's one more Pokemon.
Yeah, I used it quite a lot, but in draft I started experimenting more with it, because the set I used was Terragrass with Air Balloon. Because in Underused, most people used either Quagsire or Gastrodon.
Of course, yeah. So grass naturally, like as a ground type, obviously comes in, or as an electric type, sorry, naturally seems like a really good choice. Even better than ice, because you can obviously Quagsire and Gastrodon are both immune to, neutral to ice, thanks to their part water typing.
Yeah, electric or grass is such a great combination.
Absolutely.
I think I wanted to. I was speaking with Beardo, and I think I said to him that if Sandy Shocks gets drafted, which I would be very sad about, I would go for Hisuian Electrode.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've considered drafting that one as well. It seems to be very good. And obviously, PokeMMD did a great job with it in the PPL as well.
Yeah, it's like Electrode, but a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. That secondary grass typing and your stronger stab and Leaf Storm does wonders for it. So there's one more Pokemon that I'm actually quite curious about that we didn't really get to discuss much to this point, and that's Basculegion. Can you explain that one a little bit?
Yeah, like I said, I wanted another special attacker. And I lacked the Ghost type at that moment, because I traded my Bramblegast very early. And Basculegion with adaptability. At that point, a friend traded to me 2 different Basculegion, and I was finally able to use it.
Okay. Yeah, obviously you do it naturally, right? Do you even own Pokemon Legends Arceus? So like.
No, I had help with PLA from few friends. Plus,
okay.
I got a few of them and giveaways.
That's very kind of them. That's nice.
Yeah.
Would you say that the ability to use both male and female, because obviously our rules, right? You can only use one form, but you are allowed to use both male and female Basculegion. Would you say that kind of helped you a lot, the sort of disparity?
Yeah, that helped me a lot, especially in like Emerald Minor set that he forgot that female Basculegion exists.
Oh right, yeah, you're right.
I used the male one in semifinals, the Choice Bandit set. And for the finals, I used Rain Dance Sweeper, because after Rain Dance, it was supposed to outrun even Dragapult.
It looked really good on the matchup, yeah, especially with that Swiftswim being able to outspeed it and then KO it with a Shadow Ball. Seems really good.
Yeah, so I chose Basculegion because its tap combination is great offensively, and adaptability, plus, like you said, ability to choose whichever one you wanted.
I think just looking at your team in general, I think your team, me personally, I did my own little ranking of the teams in the league, and I would consider your team the 3rd best. I still think that Beardo and Emerald Miner, I would still say their teams are slightly stronger. So I have to say I'm very impressed that you managed to take this team to the top. But it was still absolutely an amazing team, and you, like I said, you incredible, especially considering that you couldn't gen. which would have made it easier or would have made it harder to optimize EV spreads. You did amazing with this team, so all I can say is hats off. Let's dive a little bit more.
I wanted to ask for a moment of silence for all the Terra shards.
Of course, yeah. So, could you dive a little bit more about, speaking of those Terra shards, could you tell us a little bit more about your choice of Terra captains in the Sandy Shocks and Dondozo? Like, why did you choose them? And I mean, I can imagine, especially with Sandy Shocks' performance, you must be happy about it. But like, could you just quickly tell us why these two Pokemon?
Sandy Shocks was the first, and it wasn't even a discussion for me in my mind.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because, like I said, it was the Pokemon that I terrestrialized the most in Scarlet and Violet, so I had a lot of fun and experience. With Dondozo, so the only Terra Cap, I was thinking, what was the Pokemon that I were to bring in every game in my team? And so to make the most out of this Pokemon, Dondozo, I decided to use it as a Terra Captain because if I didn't need Sandy Shocks to be my Terra Captain in the particular game, Dondozo as a Pokemon is already tough to crack. But imagine, for example, if somebody has a lot of electric and grass type answers to it, I would just I made my Dondozo Terra Dragon.
Oh yeah, that's a really good one.
Yes, and in few of my matches I actually brought Assault West offensive Dondozo.
Oh, so it's like kind of bulky on the special side while still hitting like a truck, because Dondozo's attack stat is surprisingly high.
Yeah, so I used Terrafire Dondozo against Emerald Miner.
Oh, that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah, so like Dondozo was the Pokemon that had, I think, either 11 or 12 points.
Yeah, it still did really good.
Yeah, so I would rather make one good Terra Captain than two below average ones.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny you say that because that's kind of exactly what I have. Obviously, Iron Leaves was absolutely my MVP. It's pretty much the only other Pokemon that can stand up to your amazing Sandy Shocks' performance.
Yeah, for sure.
But my other two Terra Captains were Drifblim and Venomoth, and I talked about it in my recap. They did not they both got one kill each. They really didn't do that much. And I feel like the reason why I think your team and the other two teams that I just mentioned are just better is because you guys chose your Terra Captains better. Because like Iron Leaves is amazing for me, but in almost every single game, that was all I had. I didn't even bring Drifblim and Venomoth to many battles, and even if I did, for example, in the quarterfinals, Iron Leaves ended up hogging the spotlight anyway. So
yeah, but I think even if our choices were a little bit better. In most games, I was coming with a mindset that in this game, I have to Terra Sandy Shocks.
Sandy Shocks, yeah.
Yeah. Because the type coverage it gets with Terra Blast. Like Electric Ground is not as amazing because people would have either Water Grounds or Thunderous.
Of course, yeah.
Or some other, like in Emerald Miner's case, the Tinglu, which I had to terrestrialize my Sandy Shocks into grass.
Yep.
To even break it.
Abochian, yeah.
And as for my team, I don't think it started great. I had to use all of my transactions to make it as scary as it was. I mean, those transactions, they are a resource, and I personally only really used one, and that one transaction ended up being massively useful for me. But you do what you gotta do. There's absolutely no shame in that. Yeah, I also the Pokemon that we haven't discussed, which is the Dunsparce.
Oh yeah, of course.
I started using the Dunsparce more once the draft started, and I really liked how. I wanted to draft it, but I had to find a space for the Dunsparce. I found it in the end and was very happy because you can use it either as a defensive Pokemon, with Glare and Rocks.
It's very versatile, yeah, it's very unpredictable.
It helped a lot against, I think it was the best, not really, the person who had Calyrex, not Calyrex, Spectrier.
Spectrier, yeah. That was bread pudding official off the top of my head.
it helped a lot against Spectre because Nasty Plot, Spectre can't really touch the Dunsparce.
Yeah, of course, that's amazing.
Yeah, and of course it was another special Pokemon that I liked,
Yep.
which helped a lot in playoffs, as you saw.
Yeah, the Specs Boomburst went crazy, man. That was insane.
Yeah, we were chatting with Brad. He was suggesting it to me, and we were calking. And
Great suggestion, for sure.
yes, so I didn't think that Captain Bernard would bring his Goodra against my Chinpao
Hmm.
and Sandy, which was Terra Fairy if I thought that he would bring it. But he did, and besides Goodra, the Dunsparce, like his best check to the Dunsparce would be Earthworm, which
Yeah.
is a steel type. But Specs the Dunsparce was doing like 70%.
That was insane, yeah. And obviously it also one-shot at the Arcanine when it came in. That was just bye-bye one Terra Captain, you know?
Yeah.
So, real quick to head into the next one, could you tell me what would you consider, what was your hardest match throughout the season, and why? What was your toughest game?
My toughest game was the regular season game against Emerald Miner.
Against Emerald Miner, I see.
At that point, my team wasn't really good.
Mm-hmm. When did you face him? Which week?
Oh, I think it was either 3 or 4.
Okay.
And I didn't get all my transactions done by this point, and I had Slow King and Dondozo, two defensive water types that were kind of overshadowing each other. You know, like if I bring Dondozo, it isn't really, Slow King becomes less useful.
Of course, yeah.
And he had Rotom-Mow that did great against my team, especially that it was his Terra Captain.
Yeah, like you literally said it, like grass, that grass electric combination really does well into your team as well.
Yes, and he also had an answer to my Chinpao in his Tauros.
Tauros, yep, of course.
Fire, with the fire one.
Which you handled a lot better in the finals, I have to say.
Yes, thankfully, because after my regular season game, I got more answers to Tauros, as you saw.
Mm-hmm.
Toad Scroll, which hit Tide and was super effective against it. Basco Legion, which Tauros can't touch with the firefighting, because I'm immune to fighting and resist fire.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah.
Yes, and at that time, so he had an answer to Chinpao in Tauros Blaze, and he also had an answer to my Sandy Shocks with special defensive Tingle. So I felt like my whole team was countered in regular season.
His team is so well drafted. It's like when you have those weapons, like you said, it's still very powerful weapons, all things considered, and he just still has those perfect answers to it. It's honestly insane. And Tinglu in particular, like you said, that thing just doesn't die. It's insane.
Oh yeah, Tingle, special defensive Tinglu. So in regular season, my Magnezone, it was Terra Electric or Rock, I don't remember which, or Terra, oh yeah, it was Terra Steel.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I saw that my Earth Power did like 15% to that Tingle, I was like,
oh yeah, that's tough, yeah.
I'm thankful that so with all the transactions that I did in regular season, Emerald Miner thought that it would be better to not bring Rotom-Mow, which I'm really happy about, because Rotom-Mow was still a great choice against my team in the finals.
Yeah.
But he brought Slowbro instead.
Mm-hmm. Which honestly, I mean, it still got a KO, but like, I agree with you. I think he should have brought Rotom-Mow as well. And funnily enough, in my semi-finals match with him as well, I thought Rotom-Mow was insane into my team. It was the MVP on his side during our Week 8 game, in which I finally stopped his winning streak. But it didn't even show up either. But in my case, it actually worked. Like he had a very unexpected team, and he completely caught me off guard with it. So that was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So
your game was still very close and fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say it could possibly be, you know, despite losing, I'd say it could possibly be my favorite game of the season. Like, and that directly actually brings me to my next question. What was your favorite game of the season? Who did you enjoy playing against the most?
I'll have to check. because I don't really remember all of my games, and I don't want to be like this, and then I
Change your
forgot which
mind.
one.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
so I'll have to find the doc real quickly. And
A-
just...
Anything that like just jumps up off the top of your head?
Oh yeah, if we are talking about the fun aspect, I would say that the last game against Brad was the most entertaining one, because the sets that you advised him to use, like Choice Scarf Hippowdon and Choice Banded Galarian
Oh, of
Sultan.
course, yeah. Me and Beardo actually cooked up that Hepado set together. I was like, what if you use Terra Electric for the Dondozers? Like, oh, yo, I could go Choice Scarf with Sandforce. We were like, let's do it, bro.
Yeah, I still hope we'll get to battle like the series game.
Yeah, you guys are
Uh,
doing a little bonus week, right? Or like a little extra matchup.
we were planning to. I just not sure. So he is busy lately, so I'm not really sure when he'll get to it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Me and Stefan are obviously also, you know, the two Dutchies are also planning on maybe doing another bonus episode just for entertainment. But we'll see how those go. Obviously, I can imagine with the DLC around the corner, we've all got different priorities in our head.
Oh, I think I know which is my favorite game of the season.
Oh, hit us with it.
Against Icy Dude, the Never Die and Annihilate.
Okay.
So, when I was going into the week 8, his Annihilate was still undefeated.
That's one we didn't get
Not
to
the
see.
team, but the Annihilate itself. Like what on the games where he brought it, it never died.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was really scared of his team because he had 3 defensive walls, like Among Us, Mamola, and Blissey, and I was
Of course,
thinking
yeah.
of how I should approach them. And I brought a lot of creative sets actually, and this was the first week I believe I used my Toad Screw, my new pick, and the first pick that week that I used Rillaboom. I'm actually really proud of Rillaboom. I had Zarut originally. I had drafted Zarut, and I wasn't really happy with it because it was another offensive dark type, and the best dark type move it got like was Crunch.
Of course,
And,
yeah.
Knockoff on Rillaboom is a lot better, plus it has grassy terrain, which is a lot better than whatever Zarut has. I don't remember the ability.
Yeah, Zaru does not have the best ability in the world, of course.
Yeah, and my Rillaboom against Icy Dude did amazingly well. So the set I used was
Oh, right, yeah, I remember that.
Grassy Seed Acrobatics. And it one-shotted his Grimmsnarl with Woodhammer. It also did a lot to his Annihilate. It was actually the Pokemon that took down Annihilate, my Rillaboom.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing, like a sort of memory that it's gonna have, like a little medal it can hold forever. That was amazing.
Yeah, and it's very ironic because it's another. It's not an ape, it's a gorilla, but close, right?
Yeah, and it obviously got nerfed this gen, you know, with losing Grassy Glide and everything. Like, it's impressive still managing to make it work that well.
Yeah, so my countermeasure against like Grassy Glide, I ran 2 stabs, Woodhammer and Grassy Glide. So every time I bring my Rillaboom into the game, people always are gonna respond with a check to it, right? So they're gonna switch out. So I'm going to use drum beating, and it was kind of at -1 speed. Rillaboom would outspeed the Pokemon.
Very well
so
done.
it's kind of the Grassy Glide substitute, the drum beating.
That's amazing to hear. So I kind of wanted to close it off with a little discussion that we could do together, and I'll start with you. First of all, are you like planning on participating in season 2 if it ever comes around?
Yeah, I really hope with all the new Pokemon.
Of course, yeah.
It would be very fun, and especially I have some of favorites returning in the DLC.
So that was my next question. Have you got any?
And Gliscor,
have you got any like potential wishes? You know, like people that like Pokemon that are on your wish list that you really want to have on your team. You know, you already mentioned Mamoswine and Gliscor. Anyone else?
Clefable. I really like the Clefable line. And I'll have to look at the list, but Mamoswine, Clefable, those are the 2.
can finally draft your mascot. You know, the Mamoswine Doubters can finally have Mamoswine.
Right. So when everyone was sending their logos, so I wasn't home, and so you know that I'm an artist, right?
Yeah, of course.
But my software, my computer was at home, so I couldn't even change, not only draw, but like change the existing logos that I had. And the best thing that I had was the Mama Swine emote.
Yeah, it was just an emote you designed, right?
Right, yeah. But if I think I'll stay with the same name and the team logo, but I will add the team name on it.
Of course, yeah, you can add some letters to it. But I mean, other than that, I think it's a funny logo. Honestly, I really like the emote, and I think it's a great one.
It's great. I love it. It's one of my favorites.
And then, of course, you
How
can
about
finally
you?
have your.
What Pokemon are you excited?
Of course, I mean, you know, Iron Lease is my own mascot, but that's mainly because you know I have quite a passion about this Pokemon when it first came out. But it will definitely. I don't think it'll be my grass type of choice. You know, those who know me well will know that Torterra is my favorite Pokemon of all time.
All right. Yeah.
And so I will definitely be drafting Torterra if I get the chance. Other than that, I quite like Milotic, and I'm not really I'm a very offensive player, and I don't really tend to run with like defensive styles all that much. But Milotic is a Pokemon.
Milotic, you actually reminded me of another Pokemon that I liked using, especially in draft. Imagine Serperior as a Terra Captain.
Oh yeah, that could be a really solid one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another great one.
But no, Milotic is a Pokemon that I really came to like, mainly because of Cynthia actually, but you know, obviously the champion in Gen 4, and like I've also played quite a bit of Gen 4 UU on Showdown tours. So I actually really like using Milotic, or like as a Pokemon. So that could maybe like open me up a little way to like get used to more sort of balanced play styles. And other than that, I mean, I don't really have the whole mental image of all the Pokemon that are returning, but it's I would say Torterra again is at the top of the list, and I would, if they're legal and if they're not like too broken, I would also absolutely love to try some of the new Pokemon, mainly the Loyal 3. You know,
those three, yeah.
I forget the names off the top of my head, but they seem like really fun to use, and I would love to give them a try.
I have yet to check. Like I don't really look at the leaks stuff.
Yeah, no, neither do I. I'm not very interested in that, but I do know that apparently the bird, Pandi, I think it's going to be called, is apparently a poison fairy type, which sounds pretty disgusting.
Yeah, I heard that it's going to be broken, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see, right?
Yeah.
All right. Have you got anything else you want to share? Anything at all?
Just that it was a very fun experience, the whole league. So thanks to Berado for inviting me and to commissioners. Now we have more of them, right?
Of course, yeah. Me and Stefan are joining the commissioners team for BHDL Season 2 alongside Aberta54 and Beardo, who will be staying with us, our lovely commissioner and organizer of BHDL Season 1. So we're going to have a nice little team of 4. And yeah, man, I mean, again, for me as well, I've really enjoyed this league. This was my very first draft league as a whole. But like the amount of cool people I got to meet and that I got to battle, and like the amount of high quality games I played, absolutely incredible experience. And
I always liked challenging myself. That's why when you see me in battle discords, I ask for different tiers, more lower tiers than higher tiers, and the teams when I'm making them, I always bring random stuff without there any pre-made teams, because I want to challenge myself and see how random Pokemon work together, because when you don't have a team specifically for the tier, you rely on your skill, and the challenge is more fun this way.
I can imagine, yeah. I mean, I personally always just use pre-made teams. I do a lot of testing on Showdown before I even make a team on Wi-Fi, and that's with Jenning. I can only imagine how it must be for you. But that seems like a really fun way, and that really does challenge yourself. And that.
So when I was invited to a draft league, I was like, oh great, because
yeah, you get to use that same thing, right? You get to like, you know, you're already used to just working with the Pokemon that you got.
Yeah, that was very fun to me.
That was awesome.
The only non-fun team, and the only non-fun part is not even about the league itself. Is I have a wish that I hope that the Terra shard grinding would be a lot less annoying with
Yeah,
videos.
I feel you there. I like I said, I have also played. I've done. I only very recently started doing genning, and I also played legitimately for the first couple of months of Scarlet and Violet. So I also had to do the same thing you do right now, which is grinding for Terra shards. And indeed, it is a very long and tedious process, especially when there's no none of those blissy events going on. At least when you can grind those, it's a little bit faster. But still,
Right,
it's
yeah.
it is like 50 shards just to change one Terra type is incredible.
Which goes to show how unfinished those games were.
Absolutely, yeah.
They thought about some stuff like bottle caps and finally making the nature mints available for purchase.
Yep.
But the Terra shards, I think they didn't really release the Terra shards for competitive. They didn't expect a person to they thought that people would use it on one Pokemon per team and just stop grinding.
Of course, yeah. That's kind of like the in-game mindset, right? It doesn't really take competitive into account.
Yeah. But those were the fun moments for me in the league, the Terra grinding, which led to a lot of memes, like against Pokemaster. He had Arboliva and Goldengo on his team. Two Pokemon I used a lot, so I feared them coming to our league match. So I grinded from 50 Terra Fire shards on my Sandy. And once our game started, I noticed that he didn't bring either.
He didn't bring either of them. Oh dear. So that's just such a waste, isn't it? Yes. Little things like that is why I could never see myself ever grinding shards legitimately
and
for
I
a
was
league.
like, well, there goes my towers.
I can imagine. Yeah, that sucks. Well, that's what goes around comes around, I suppose. But again, the fact that you managed to still win this entire league while doing it legit, like winning it as a whole is impressive enough, but doing it while doing it legitimately by grinding in game, that's even more impressive. So
Yeah.
again, big congratulations to you, Raymond. Absolutely deserved
you.
first ever
Thank you
Pokemon
very
Scholar. Massive respect to you, and we really hope to see you back in season 2. We're gonna round it off here because we've been going for quite a while, but it was really fun. Thank you so much for being here again, Raymond. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you too for the video, and I'm really excited to go into the season 2.
Absolutely, man. We'll have an even
Pokemon. I think the draft will be very fun.
Absolutely, we're gonna have an even better season. So thank you guys so much for watching this one. Big thank you to Raymond for joining me, and we will see you all in season 2. Peace, guys.
See you later.